allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And so everyone knows, we did have an executive session this evening at 6:45 to discuss legal matters. The first order of business would be the reorganization of the Board of Supervisors for 2024. The first two items would be the election of a mayor and a deputy mayor.
Mr. Mayor, I make the nomination of Supervisor Alcon for mayor.
We have a second? I'll make a second.
Of course.
Any further discussion? All those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Supervisor Jorgensen made the motion, Supervisor Crawley the second. Next item up.
Well, you want to hand the gavel over to the
No,
mayor?
oh, sorry, yes. Yes.
There you go.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to the second item, and that's the election of the deputy mayor. And I am going to nominate Supervisor Darren Crowley.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, now we're moving the forum pertaining to agenda items only to this position, so that everybody has an opportunity to speak about the agenda items before we start dealing with them. So does anybody have anything to address the board on pertaining to the agenda items? Please, podium and state your full name and address, please.
Emily Allen, 54 Bridgeland Drive. Happy New Year, everybody. Happy New Year. Since the revised finding of facts is on the agenda, I just wanted to make a quick statement. I don't know how many in the public know, but the court case that we have been involved in with Indiana Township was remanded back to the township due to insufficient explanation of one of the sections of the MPC code. The section of the MPC code that the judge didn't feel was substantial enough to even evaluate was how this proposal, which deviates from the standard zoning, is in the interest of the public. This isn't the first time the court has remanded a very similar case, other cases on this plan, this development, back for that very reason. The amount of time and taxpayer money that has been wasted with the township's inability to provide enough information to satisfy the judge's ability to rule that this is actually indeed in fact in all of our best interests. That's really concerning. It hasn't happened just once. It's happened multiple times. If we didn't challenge it, it would just be rubber stamped and pushed through. But a judge, different judges, have found fault with your ability to articulate why this is in our best interest. That should be the base expectation of approving something to deviate from the zoning. Base expectation. So when we can't meet the base expectation, we just had a judge swearing you in on the promise to discharge the duties of your office with fidelity. I really struggle when multiple times over, you can't articulate the simplest component, which is how this is in our best interest. Thank you.
Thank you for your input. Anybody else want to address the board?
Jonathan Spatz, 436 Church Lane, Allison Park, 15101. I have a simple request. I have been a resident here for 44 years in April, and I've enjoyed things that have happened in the township. A lot of progress has been made by yourselves and prime members of the board. And Mayor Khan, I have a simple request. when it comes to appointing people for the zoning hearing board and the planning commission, I respectfully request that you consider my name in nomination for those places. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anybody else?
Nettie Owens, 109 Bruno Drive. With regard to the zoning board and the other open positions, there was a question that had come up in a prior meeting about who was going to be nominated for those positions and how those positions were filled. And I think there was a comment that was made that we would get more information on that, and we're at the point of filling those committee roles, and we've had no more information on who's being nominated, on their qualifications, on what the process is for providing people who may want to fill those positions. And so it just seems like maybe prior to filling those positions we could know a little bit more about how they are filled, and perhaps tonight's not the night to push that forward when there was a request and it never was answered.
And I don't have any information as a supervisor of why anybody who's up for reappointment is qualified, especially on planning commission. So it would be nice, I would think, going forward, if we at least have personal statement or resume or something. It's an important duty to fulfill. I'd like to know why people want to do it and why they're qualified.
Well, I guess my other question is, how do you become a person who could be on those committees?
My understanding is there has to be a vacancy first, and then once that vacancy has been decided, you may then apply.
Because Dan, you said at the last meeting you were going to know what vacancies were available at the last meeting, but between the last meeting and now, I don't recall like an opening being announced that somebody could then submit for.
At the last meeting, if you recall, I mentioned that I'd sent a letter out to all those positions that were up for reappointment, asking their interest in being reappointed. Now, I have always received letters from residents expressing their interest in serving on boards and commissions, sometimes generally, sometimes specifically for a certain board. And I try to keep that information on those individuals so that should a vacancy occur, I can contact that individual to see if they're interested in filling a vacancy.
That seems like a
And-
process
and I
that you would
usually
need to
ask-
know.
Excuse me, let him speak, he has the floor.
Ask that they provide me what their interests are and what their background is. And you'll find that any of those appointees, those that are up for reappointment, all expressed their interest prior to being appointed and gave what their background is. And their backgrounds were all commensurate with the positions they sought and were appointed to.
What I'm asking is that that process be made public so that people who have an interest would know how to, like right now, you have to know to contact you.
And most
it's not
public has
written.
been aware of that for the last 20 plus years that I've done those appointments. I mean, the
There was a
board members
question-
sitting here that have sought to be appointed to the Parks Board, Planning Commission, and are now on the Board of Supervisors, I've had that. That's what I've had.
I guess I just have some concern that there was a specific question last meeting about what vacancies were open, but between last meeting and this time period, which we're gonna appoint people, no information was provided about what vacancies were open and how to fill it if somebody were to want that position.
Well,
Like,
historically, those who are currently appointees that are asking to be reappointed, we've reappointed them
so there's
because
no
we've appreciated the
vacancies.
service, the fact that they've volunteered for so long, and they've only gained experience by their service that they've been there. So those appointees, as you see, were all wanting to be reappointed, other than I had one for a parks position who did not respond, and we had a letter of interest from an individual who had an interest in being on the Parks Board. And she seems to be ideal for the position, and so she's on there to ask to be appointed to that position.
I would like to be able, though, Dan, I cannot explain to any of my constituents, because my District 5 residents show up for the planning commission meetings. And I know I thank anybody for service, but a lot of times there's no input given by a lot of members of the planning commission on these issues. And so they come up to me and they say, how are these people qualified to be in this position? I can't answer it. So I think at a minimum, we should have public access to the information of why they're qualified to serve. Because I can't answer that question. And they're certainly not answering that question themselves in the way they conduct planning commission meetings 9 times out of 10. Because a lot of them don't plan or talk about it. So we need to be, if somebody knows why they want to serve on it, I would love to know why. Because I don't see it in the actual functioning of the planning commission, at least. So we only can vote on what options we have. So Jonathan, I think you're in District 1. We're reappointing, I think tonight, if I get it right, Dave is District 3, correct? Dick Geary?
Yes.
And Michael is, I think, District 2. And I know Dan is District 4. So thank you for offering, but we can't do that. But when District 1 comes up, I would like to have a situation where we put your resume and your personal statement up against whoever wants to be reappointed. I think that's the way to get the best possible service, not just the longest service from people here. So I have to vote. I will vote yes on these things because I don't have any other option right now, but I want more options in the future.
May I ask a question, Mayor, relative to reappointing these people? Is it automatic that they're reappointed, or can you consider an alternate candidate?
We don't consider alternates if they want the reappointment.
It's automatic.
But I think that's a convention, right? I think that's
Legally, you can. You don't-
Legally, we're
you can-
allowed
You
to.
can do whatever you want, but.
If there was I'm sure if there was an issue with their service, that could be done. That has not been the case to date.
But it's not qualifying that.
That's some.
We have the ability, all of us, as a majority, to appoint, we want these positions, we should do it based on whoever's the best. It's not an issue of like asking somebody to step down if they're not good enough. It should be taking all the candidates who want to serve, putting them up against each other, and us picking, in our judgment, who should get appointed.
So if Mayor Khan and Supervisors Crowley and Jorgensen thought that my 44 years residence here, the fact that I've been an executive in Pittsburgh and a senior vice president at Mellon Bank and the CEO of Shenango Incorporated, and have an MBA from Stanford and 2 other engineering degrees, and worked with several architects and developers around this area, if they thought those qualifications might be satisfactory, if they wanted, they could nominate me to be in that position for the representative of District 1. Is that correct?
Yeah. We could vote however we wanted on those particular issues. But
Okay.
I just wanted to say that tonight District 1 isn't up.
That's why at this point, it's not gonna happen.
Well, he also said the
It's
zoning
staggered.
hearing board, but I don't know how that's done since there's only 3.
So if somebody nominated me, somebody on the board nominated me and somebody seconded it, then you could take a vote.
I don't even know if you need to be officially nominated. We just vote on who we think is best.
That term is not expired.
Yeah.
There's a current appointee.
So you don't, there is not a vacancy in District 1.
And to be
What
clear,
about the zoning hearing board? Is that done by zones as well?
It's not done by district.
You can ask for that. There you go.
I sign up for that.
And I have 3 full-time zoning hearing board members at this time.
The comment I have on this is, Ms. Owens said she would like us to put it forward so that we can consider this or notify folks, but Pennsylvania law clearly says that the first business day after the beginning of the new year is the organizational meeting wherein these positions are appointed. So if we decided on a different means of, different means of appointing folks or having them apply, we would have to apply that to next year, because we are at the board meeting, at the organizational meeting that has to make this vote. Now, information that Johnson's given to us certainly will be considered, but he's saying for the planning commission and so forth, that's District 1 and there's no position open right now. So I understand your position, but the other thing is that folks know about the Pennsylvania law, about organization and so forth, and that it's been in the newspapers and all that. So if anybody was interested, a letter of interest should have been submitted to the township so we could consider it. And at this point, it's too late to do that for this year.
So I
But
guess,
maybe ask.
I'm willing to receive letters of interest for people letting me know what their background is, because we never know when a vacancy is gonna occur. If I have somebody that moves, which we've had, and we have that vacancy for that reason, then we need to have those candidates. And I have a number of them. I just had an email from Supervisor Crowley in the last few days from a resident who expressed interest, but then after thinking about it, decided they wouldn't be able to commit to doing it. But I still have that name and their interest. I have a handful of people that have expressed interest over the last year. But unfortunately, I don't have a position at that time for them. But it's great to have them. We have a lot of qualified people in the township, and I think we benefit, and that's evident from those appointees we have on our zoning hearing board and on our planning commission and the other boards and commissions. I do have the vacancy on the historical commission from Michael Massour, who just stepped down, and I don't have someone to fill that place at this time.
What district is he in?
Two. For historical, I don't know that it matters, but if it does, he's in District 2. Is that's what your district is right now?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'll just share my experience as well, is essentially, I know it's January, I know it's the reorg meeting, so people are obviously, interested quickly. But to Dan's earlier point, is people, if they're truly interested, they're in our ear 11, 12 months out of the year, not just at reorg time. And the gentleman that Dan's referencing, was interested 5 or 6 months ago. There's no vacancy. It is what it is. But we know he's on the radar, he's there, he's interested. But unfortunately, then things changed, and then now he's not interested. So it is what it is, but I would say if you have people that are interested, you definitely want to have them talk to Dan.
Could I ask a clarifying question on that?
If you step up to the podium.
So if people express an interest in a position in advance of reorg meeting, but the person currently in that district who's appointed has interest in remaining, what happens? Does the person
Typically,
who's expressed interest get, is there a discussion amongst the board of supervisors? So if someone expresses interest, but the person who holds the seat just wants to keep it, what happens?
Typically,
I don't think that's happened before.
yeah,
right? So-
I really haven't.
Hypothetically.
Well,
Well, we haven't had the competing interests for.
But what would you
fortunate
do
to
in
fill
that
the
Normally, we're
situation?
begging people to come and
What
fill this
what
office.
would happen in that situation?
We
though?
would-
Because what I thought I heard was if they have an interest in being reappointed, it's just
Only
done.
if there's a vacancy. If there's no vacancy, then no one is contacted to say, would you still like to serve? So if you go to a planning commission meeting and you see the people in the audience who are not on the board, who are actively participating, who are doing the work, there's no invitation for those people to say, hey, I'm here, I'm already doing the work, can I participate? Only when there's a vacancy does it show up in the packet.
But at the end of the day, we could vote. We have the power in the reorganization meeting to pick the best person for each of these positions. It's just a question of getting that information out to the public and making people feel welcome to put an application in.
Is it reasonable to expect that we could ask folks if they're interested in, if they are coming up, that we could ask them a quarter out, September, October, to declare if they are seeking reappointment or not, to know if there is, or to understand if there's vacancies and allow, publicly, I know you said it's, there's information in the newspapers, but I don't think we understand. That's why we had so many questions. So is there a way to understand if there is a vacancy and alert folks who may be interested that they should formally put their hat in that ring?
I don't think it even should depend on the vacancy. I think in September, you should say if you want to serve on these positions,
Yeah.
send your information in.
Because
And
they
then
are appointed by the board, right?
I would like to have everybody's resume and statement of interest and put them side by side.
So it's not dependent upon a vacancy.
No, I mean, we've set the ground rules through convention that way.
But if I can, you can't replace somebody, once you appoint someone to the zoning hearing board, it's an independent body, you can't, this board can't remove somebody from the zoning hearing board or the planning commission except for cause, or, you know, there's a certain number of delineated things in the municipality's planning code that you could remove somebody for, but it's not just, oh, we wanna change it up. So once you appoint somebody for a term of years, that's how long.
Once appointed, but what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, but I think I just wanna clarify that.
Yeah,
Okay.
in this window of opportunity, that is when we have freedom of choice to pick a person who meets the conditions.
Yes, and John, if I could, we have it on the agenda this evening that those people that are interested, and that it's in number 7 of the agenda, that we're gonna do exactly what you're saying.
Well,
We're not
we
quite.
won't
No.
debate
No,
that
no,
up here,
exactly.
but I don't quite agree.
We're gonna vote on it.
We'll just agree,
And
we'll
we'll get
disagree on
there, right.
another point. My last question then is, what is the term that these folks are appointed to?
The planning commission are 4-year terms. The zoning hearing board are, Jeff,
I believe they're
5-year terms.
And is that, how is the term length determined? Like, is that a standard across the state, or is that something determined by
Established
townships?
by our codified ordinances.
Mine says zoning hearing board is 3-year.
3-year term, correct, thank you.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure we're all.
I did have a sheet that told us that.
And zoning hearing board is not done by zone, it is at large for all 3 seats?
Yes.
Okay.
There is no, because the numbers don't correlate by the district.
So maybe a calendar of when those things are becoming, like when those terms are expiring would be helpful in advance. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your comments, and we'll take all that under consideration, and at some meeting in the future, if we want to talk about procedure for filling positions and so forth, we can, but we're at the point now where we are at the organizational meeting, and we need to make the appointment, so thank you for your comments. Other comments on any other items that are on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move on.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I recommend or motion that we have 2 police officers, in attendance, and their probably presence is better felt out in the streets than in a meeting here. If we could move up, item 14B, the possible approval to hire full-time officer Adam. Do that now, so if they'd like to go out and protect the community, they'd be free to do that.
I'll second that one.
I have no objection. Is there any objection to moving item 5B to the present time at this meeting? 14B, excuse me.
Let's move it on.
Okay, then we'll do that. Chief?
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I'm recommending the board supervisors hire Adam Horowitz for the position of a full-time police officer, effective immediately. Adam recently completed his Act 120 training and has met all the qualifications under the Commonwealth of PA under Act 120 guidelines.
I will happily make the motion to approve the hire to full-time officer of Adam Horowitz.
And I will second that. So the motion is by Supervisor Crowley, second by Supervisor Khan. Is there any discussion? Okay, in that case, I'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations.
Can you see this? Okay. Raise your right hand and please read.
I, Adam Horowitz, do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of this Commonwealth, and that I will discharge the duties of police officer with fidelity. And I do further swear that I am knowingly a member with a specific intent to further the aims of any organization that advocates the overthrow of the government of the United States or of this Commonwealth by force or violence or other unconstitutional means, or seeking by force or violence to deny other persons their rights under the Constitution of the United States or of this Commonwealth. I do further swear that I will knowingly become a member with the specific intent to further the aims of such organization during the time that I am an employee of the Township of Indiana. So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Believe I forgot a few down here. Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Forward to seeing you out there.
Thank you, sir.
It's good to see you have your family with you.
That is excellent.
Been a long road, sir.
Congratulations to all of you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. We're so thrilled that he's gonna be working for all of you.
I'm glad to hear that.
Absolutely.
mother.
Of course. Good job.
And thank you for attending, that was very nice. Okay, now let's move on to appointment of officials for 2024.
Can we just do a quick side note? Just a side note, I would just like, it's a great idea, Paul, I think just as a matter of course, when we're just gonna appoint, when we're gonna go and, you know, swear in a police officer or something, it'd be great to just have that after a citizens forum, just, you know,
All for it.
it's a great idea.
Makes sense.
So, yeah, just,
We could do that.
Dan, did you hear that?
I wouldn't mind if it was before citizens forum. That's been the delay.
they're not all created
But
equal.
hey, that's good. I like the point.
That'd be great.
I appreciate it very much.
I think that probably should be the first thing after the pledge of
Yeah.
allegiance.
Well, you have to,
So we don't
you
have
actually,
an officer
you gotta
sitting.
vote to, you gotta make a motion to hire. And then you have to have citizens' comments before you make that motion.
Yeah.
Good point.
Thank you, Irv.
Thank you for your service.
Restraint, thank you.
Okay, moving forward, appointment of officials, board secretary.
You could do them if you choose.
Yeah,
The
we do them all together.
2020
I think we did the batch last year.
As
Yes.
listed here, and we'll make sure it's reflected correctly in the minutes.
Make a
That's
motion
fine.
to approve the current board secretary, solicitor, engineer, auditor, treasurer, open records officer, and do the treasurer's bond for $1 million.
And I'll clarify that just to make the point that the secretary, treasurer, and open records coordinator is myself. And then solicitor is Irving Furman with Tucker Aaronsburg, engineers Daniel Slagle with Nichols and Slagle, and the CPA for auditor is Case Sabatini.
Treasurer,
And treasurer, I mentioned that as well.
Yes.
I'm the secretary, treasurer, and open records also.
Right.
All three of them. And the treasurer's bond is $1 million.
I'll second the motion.
Is there any further discussion? All in favor of appointing the aforementioned people to the boards listed in item 3 on the agenda? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously to fill all those positions as stated.
and I'd recommend, for the appointments for the delegates, unless someone on the board wants to step down from a current delegation, to appoint the same delegates we had last year as to this year.
I would point out that I did pull the Seneca EMS off the list because of the dissolution.
Right.
So that did take an appointment away from supervisor.
That's okay, I don't feel demoted.
But I will be inquiring with Lou
We'll have
about
a EMS meeting on January 11th, so
Yeah.
I'm scrounging for an
Yeah.
appointment,
Yeah.
if anybody would take me.
So I just wanted to make that for the record. Okay, I could run through those real quick. The PSETS delegate, Al Kahn, alternate Sarah Hertwig, a Cato delegate, Al Kahn, alternate Darren Crowley, North Hills Council of Government delegate, Sarah Hertwig, and North Hills COG alternate, Jonathan Newman. And ANTCC, and that's myself.
I'll second the motion.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Next, Mayor, is the authorization of depositories, and for this year, that is Pliget, Pennsylvania Local Government Investment Trust, and First National Bank, FNB.
I'll make the motion for the authorization of the depositories being Pliget and First National.
Second it.
That's a motion by Supervisor Hepwick, second by Supervisor Newman. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
And next, Mayor, excuse me, is to establish the regular monthly meeting dates for 2024 as the second Wednesday of every month at 7 p.m. I will make a note that the second Wednesday, if you do in February, would be Valentine's Day. So if you'd want to make that you could keep it that, or.
Is there any reason we can't have them Tuesdays anymore? I'm just
Well,
asking this.
I know there was the request to consider the change to Tuesdays. Tuesdays will work as well.
Okay.
In February, that'd be the 13th. But there was, I know that there was
You
a
actually did
schedule issue.
request, I have conflict on Tuesdays.
You have a conflict on Tuesdays. Okay, well, we might be having a 6-year-old join us on some Wednesdays if childcare becomes an issue on Wednesdays.
Oh, we like that.
You can recruit them young.
You'll learn a lot about local government.
Yeah.
There's an opening on the historical commission. I don't know if there's an age.
A little young for that.
Okay, so do we have a motion or no? We don't have a motion. I'll make the motion to change the monthly meetings for 2024 to the second Wednesday every month, 7 p.m.
And that's beginning of February.
Beginning
Sorry.
of February,
Yes.
yes.
I'll
So
second.
that means we will be here on the 14th.
February 4th, Valentine's Day, that's the day.
Okay.
At least if I mix it up, I'm showing up the day before.
Darren's not gonna say a word, right?
7, 8 years in a
I'm not
row,
saying
you
it.
haven't divorced me yet, so, okay, it's getting there.
Okay, so that motion is second, motion by Supervisor Crowley, second by myself. All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Hey, Dan, you're gonna make that a pretty good sized banner on the webpage?
Oh, yeah, we'll
Just
do
to
the
make sure.
banner, we'll do the ad, and a good time to mention, if you go on to indianatownship.com, you can subscribe for notices by email and choose what you'd like to receive.
Okay.
So,
But because
Get-
that is a
get
switch, if we
subscribed.
can just make sure people realize that.
good, I'll make sure.
Big splash.
Okay, and motion carries unanimously.
And just before we move on, Mayor, please, that being said, with the new updates to the township, if you enter your email, would that be something that would be one of those categories that would blast out? You know, I now know the meeting's on Wednesday, right?
Correct,
Okay, awesome.
yes.
And I think along with that, it should be mentioned, and should probably be in our minutes, that, folks need to get in touch with us and let us know what their emails are, because the lists where we send out notices and so forth are not by email, as I understand it. So we need to make sure everybody's email is available to us that wants to receive, and that can be done online by going to the website and just choosing what type of information you'd like to be notified on, and give us the email that needs to be sent to. And we will make that information available to the citizens. Okay, appointments and boards and commissions.
First, Mayor, is the possible appointment of Robert Newland to the Vacancy Board. That is an annual appointment. And he's been doing that for quite a few years now.
I'll make the motion to reappoint Bob Newland to the vacancy board.
Second.
Motion by Supervisor Crowley, second by Supervisor Jorgensen, to approve Robert Newland to the vacancy board. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Next, Mayor, is the possible reappointment of Dave Geary to the Planning Commission, and those are 4-year terms.
I'll make a motion to reappoint Dave Geary to the planning commission.
Second.
You want to do Dave Geary, Mike Rucci, and Dan Taylor?
Yes.
They're all three for the 4-year terms.
My motion as amended.
Okay.
My second is amended.
Okay. And the motion has been made and amended by Supervisor Crowley, seconded by Supervisor Jorgensen to appoint or reappoint David Geary, Michael Ruffey, and Daniel Taylor to the Planning Commission. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Next, Mayor, would be the reappointment of Sam Grego and Joe Bresney to the Zoning Hearing Board.
I'll make the motion to reappoint Sam Grego to the Zoning and Hearing Board as well as Joseph Bernesi.
I'd like to nominate Mr. Jonathan Spatz to be considered for the zoning hearing board, as he's come before us tonight and asked to be considered for that position.
I'll consider him, I know him, so. Stanford grad aside, I went to Berkeley, but, you know, I won't hold against you.
Okay, so
Well, right,
I have a motion.
there was not a second to your motion.
I
So there's, right now, there's a motion, Sarah made Ms. Hartwick made a motion, and Mr. Newman second, I believe, was it to consider the appointment of, I forget, Jonathan Church?
Jonathan Spatz, right.
Jonathan Spatz to
Church Lane.
Church Lane, sorry,
Correct.
sorry. Jonathan Spatz, the position of zoning hearing board member.
I think, Sarah, you gotta pick one of these other guys to try to bump off.
They're not there yet.
They're not there?
So you haven't, like, that motion never got made,
Oh.
right? So the only motion right now
Okay.
is for
Good
Jonathan
point.
Spatz. And to be clear, I think the agenda is clear enough that you're appointing zoning hearing board members. The fact that his name's on this is not voided, it's permissible to make said motion.
And they're 3-year terms.
So motion seconded, and then you need to call for the vote.
okay, there's been a motion and a second to consider Jonathan Spatz for a position on the zoning hearing board. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Aye.
Of course.
Nays have it. Motion did not carry.
I'm so sorry.
I will go now
You guys
second.
didn't even talk about it. Like, why are you saying yes or no?
Excuse me, this is not a public comment section of the meeting. Thank you.
I will make a second to Darren's.
Well, yeah, I think
Darren, you wanna make the
you
motion?
gotta make the motion again.
Yep. I will make the motion to reappoint Sam Grego and Joe Bernesi to the Zoning and Hearing Board.
I'll make a second to that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to, excuse me, to reappoint Samuel Grego and Joseph Bresney to the zoning hearing board. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Next, Mayor, is the possible appointment of Patsy Thompson to the Shade Tree Commission Parks and Recreation Board. This position was previously and that is for the Middle Road District.
I'll make the motion to appoint Patsy Thompson to the Shade Tree Commission Parks Rec Board.
I'll second that.
Motion by Supervisor Crowley, second by Supervisor Newman to approve the appointment of Patsy Thompson to the Shade Tree Commission Park Recreation Board. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
Next, Mayor, is approval of the minutes for the December 12th regular meeting.
I have a comment on page number 3. In the Township zoning ordinance update, the last sentence there said, Mr. Slagle said the Township zoning ordinance will be picked up or should be picked up or back up at the, and it says reorganization meeting. I believe that should say planning commission meeting.
I think you're right.
Sounds right to me.
And I had no other comments on it.
I'll make a motion to approve the December 12th, 2023 regular meeting minutes as amended.
I'll second that motion. Motion by Supervisor Crowley, second by myself, to approve the minutes of the December 12th, 2023 Township of Indiana Supervisor Board meeting. Is there any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
The next item, Mayor, would be development proposals, but we have none. So I'd ask you to do the accounts payable financial reports.
I'm gonna make a motion to pay the bills.
I'll second.
Motion by myself, second by Supervisor Crowley, to pay the bills. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Correspondence.
Range Resources, that's regarding the Drake Fraser Township well site. It's a required notification for the record.
Okay, thank you.
Have they started drilling yet? Like that?
I don't know.
Well, looking at, reading through paperwork and so forth, it appears they haven't yet.
What was that, Jeff?
They wouldn't at this point with this notification.
Okay, so under new business,
Yeah, it's the first item of the year. Each year is our fee schedule, and this is a resolution 2024-01. We did update the lien letters, is increased $5, as well as added the additional fee for expedited requests. We've had an increased frequency of requested. They want it done within 5 business days, and so we will accommodate that for an additional charge. The traffic impact fee was raised according to what was approved in the ordinance. The approved amount of the 3%. The false alarm services was an increased $50 alarm call. And the grading fee and timbering fee and subdivision, minor subdivision fee were all increased $50. And the landowner curative amendment, zoning ordinance amendment were increased $100. And those fees are really to cover the costs associated with those permits that are issued. And so we try to accommodate that each year with the adjustments. And the Town Hall Community Center has had an increase in each category. That's all I have for the fee resolution. I'd ask for your approval.
Make a motion to approve resolution number 2024-01 as submitted.
Anybody interested in $40 tree fees instead of 35?
I'll second the motion.
It can't hurt to ask.
is there any further discussion? A motion made by Supervisor Jorgensen, seconded by Supervisor Crowley, to approve resolution 2024-01. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
The last I have for you this evening, Mayor, is the possible consideration of the supplemental findings of fact and conclusions of law in accordance with the order of court issued at case number SA 23-142.
I make a motion that we approve the supplemental findings of fact.
I'll second the motion.
Motion by Supervisor Jorgensen, second by Supervisor Crowley, to approve the supplemental findings of fact and conclusions of law in accordance with the order of the court issued in case number SA 23-142. Any discussion?
Point of clarification, we're voting to send this on to the court rather than assent to the arguments that made therein. Even though You did a good job, but just don't want to put my seal of approval on the underlying arguments with it.
It's a decision of the board, and it's consistent with the order. It is a
Sorry, we
decision.
can't hear you.
I'm sorry, my microphone's off. I apologize. It is a decision of the board. The order of court requested that the board make additional findings and a decision. So it's a decision. Right? So I don't know how to. You can sort. I don't know how to answer.
I'm voting yes, but just preserving the fact that I still don't think it's in the public interest to how it went down. So I'm voting yes to move it on.
You can vote no.
I'll vote no.
Okay, well, that's up to you.
Okay.
That's your vote.
And you're not in the club.
Okay, so what do we got?
I believe there's a motion and a second, and then there was discussion, which was the discussions of topic.
So, any further discussion? Then all in favor? Aye. All opposed?
No.
Motion carries.
No, thank you.
That moves us to the citizens forum on non-agenda items. Are there any citizens that want to comment? Mrs. Gowan?
Just one comment that it's disappointing that when there was an opportunity and a person in attendance expressing interest in being considered for the zoning board opening, and was possible to consider him against the other two seeking to be reappointed, that you didn't elect to take even a 3-minute executive session discussion to talk about the merits of the candidates. I'll go back to what the swearing in at the very beginning, discharge the duties of my office with fidelity. There wasn't even discussion. His qualifications sounded pretty good. Since I haven't heard the qualifications of the other two folks, I have nothing to compare or base it on. Maybe you all do, but that would have been really meaningful conversation for us to hear, like, so we could understand.
We have nothing.
So there's not even the illusion of caring about what is said, or about the qualifications for a resident who cared enough to come. Are the other two members seeking to be reappointed here? The board members, are they here? No. I think that's, I struggle in seeing how that is discharging the duties of your office with fidelity.
Thank you for your comment. Any further comments?
Donna Ludwig, 32 Oakville Drive. That was the first thing that I was gonna say, so thank you. That's absolutely correct. It's
Please address the board.
the second thing, and I will. At the last meeting, I was able to watch it because Emily streams it also. Is there any progress in doing live streams yet?
No,
I believe that was
When's
talked
that gonna
about
happen?
it's already been voted on.
When was it voted on? When was it voted on? I know Darren was worried that somebody would listen from another township, but when was it voted to not do it?
I'd have to go back.
A year and a half ago? Am I accurate? 18 months ago?
It was
It
prior
was
to
voted on.
John, it was prior to John joining the board.
Can
The
that
board
be
has no interest.
reevaluated?
The board has no interest.
The citizens do. Disabled citizens, infirm citizens in this time of COVID and RSV where people don't want to be exposed. I mean, look at the attendance here today. That's unusual. So, can it be reopened?
What's unusual about the attendance? I'm confused.
This is terrible attendance when I know that a lot of people have strong feelings about what does and doesn't go on. So this would allow more people to be involved. So can it be reopened?
Anything can be placed on the agenda.
Okay.
I mean, the law is quite clear that if someone contacts the township and asks them something to be put on the agenda.
No,
No, there has to be a petition
No,
from a
I mean,
1994
as a-
ordinance.
Right, and under, just to be clear again, under the most recent case that was interpreting the Sunshine Act, in order to, you can no longer as a council, as a supervisor, make a motion to vote on something at a meeting. Right, so you have to make a motion to add it to the agenda, the next month's agenda. So someone would have to make a motion to add something to be considered at the next month's meeting. It'd have to be a vote, and that's how we get on the agenda. under the.
So we could request that it be discussed on the board?
You certainly, well, I'm discussing how the board would do it. You're a citizen here tonight. You can certainly request the board anything you'd like, and then the board will either act on it or they won't, right? If that's how that, you as a citizen are allowed to come to the meeting and make any request that you'd like to the board supervisor at any time.
Okay, thank you. So the other thing is, several months ago, Mr. Slagle said that Indiana Trails was years away. He was estimating more than 2 years. So you can imagine and that there were criteria that had to be met. When I saw a truck on the property a couple weeks ago, the last township meeting that I was able to see on live stream was on a Tuesday, and this was on a Friday. There was a truck there. There's somebody measuring the trees, or verifying the measurements of the trees. Somebody, quite lovely guy, who I guess is your employee. And I didn't know if there was a trespasser, so I asked him, what was he there for? And he said, well, he was verifying the measurements. Not all of them were correct, and so he was being very diligent. That the construction's going to be starting within 2 months. So between the Tuesday meeting, when there was no progress, no change, and Friday, what happened there in that 72 hours?
Okay, so the individual that was on the property was one of my employees.
He told me he was, and he told me that you told him.
Let me try to finish that.
Okay.
Then we can discuss a little bit more.
Great.
So the developer has requested that the township put together the developer's agreement. And we've also established a bond before that. As part of the preparation of the developer's agreement, there was a question as to how many trees were on the site. So I sent one of my folks, one of my employees out to take a look at what they thought, or what he thought, was the number of trees on the site. So we're currently evaluating that information and continuing on with the preparation of the developer's agreement. The developer's agreement has not been signed by either party at this point.
He told me that you told him construction was going to start within 2 months.
I'm telling you that until the developer's agreement is signed, until the court case that you just heard just moments ago actually gets solidified, the plan cannot move forward.
So he didn't hear you correctly, or he was
I
misinformed.
really don't know what he told you. I'm hearing what you said.
Yeah.
I'm telling you what the facts are.
Okay.
So I would rely on what I'm telling you.
Okay, you might want to just clear that up with him so he understands, because that is very important. So, thank you.
Sure. Yes.
My name's Jonathan Spatz, I live at 436 Church Lane, Hampton Park. Could I address a question to Solicitor Furman? Solicitor Furman, can you tell me if, under the bylaws of Indiana Township, how the zoning hearing board is constituted, and if it is limited as to the number of members, or how that works?
I don't know off the top of my head what the bylaws say on it. Municipalities planning code allows. I think I'd rather go and get you, I don't want to misspeak on it, so I certainly would get it to you.
I'll give you that chapter from our ordinance on the zoning hearing board.
Okay. Could you email it to me?
Yes,
My
I have your email.
You have my email. Thank you.
Yes.
Eddie Owens, 109 River Drive. I find it pretty offensive that so many jokes are made about the length of time that citizens are taking in the citizens forum to come up here and share. You know, you say we can come here and express that we can communicate with you, but when we do, you make jokes about how long it is and how annoying it is to have us up here talking and sharing. And so which is it? Do you want this to be, you can't, it's recorded. It's recorded, okay? You can shake your head all you want. I can go back and do the thing that I've heard you're most afraid of, which is take the clips out of the recording and show you that point when people on the board and other employees will shake their heads and make comments about the length of the time that it takes for citizens forum and how obnoxious that is. The people Deputy Mayor Crawley, that you said, you know, you made the comment that people would show up if they wanted to participate, not just on the reorganization meeting, but, you know, for the months ahead of time. Where are all these candidates that you guys just swore in? They're not here. There's like this crowd of people that we keep showing up to planning commission meetings and to Board of Supervisors meetings month after month. I've been to more planning commission meetings than you have at this point, and we didn't know the process for joining, and we asked those questions, and we continuously get this like kicked down the road every single time. Oh, we'll get that to you. Oh wait, here we're voting on it, and we can't do anything about that. You know, it's frustrating. We are showing up trying to participate, and we get mocked for making comments, and then we get misinformation and lip service. We can just add it to the agenda. I asked you to add it to the agenda. I asked you to add voting on live streaming to the agenda, and you did not. I understand you're waiting for my report, but I've been told it could be added to the agenda. It has to be added to the agenda by a Board of Supervisor member who desires it to be added to the agenda. So tonight, Supervisor Newman or Supervisor Hertwick, you could say, we'd like to add voting on live streaming to the next meeting, and then what's going to happen? You're going to ask that it be added, and these three folks right in the middle are going to vote it down and say that the vote that was taken 18 months ago is sufficient. When people keep showing up and asking for it, there's 6 members of the community watching. How many people are in the audience? 7. We have just as many people watching the live stream as showing up here because they're interested in participating. And people go back to them over and over again. Wouldn't it make sense that the community provide that?
Thank you for your comments. Any further comments? Seeing none, I'm going to close the citizens forum. I'll make a motion for adjournment.
I make a motion for adjournment.
Second?
Before we, adjourn, can we add, what the folks are asking to just have a formal vote next month on the new streaming, to just either say yes or no? Something more current, something since Supervisor Newman's joined the board, let him
I'm
weigh in.
fine with it.
I have only one comment about that. On at least 2 or 3 occasions, Ms. Owens has told me that she wants to provide us specific information as to best practices or what she has determined other folks are doing. If she wants us to consider this, we can't vote next time because she hasn't provided to us. If she provides that at the next meeting, we could vote the following meeting. I'd like to be able to look at that, compare that information with the information we have.
I have asked, Mr. Anderson to look into some information regarding that, and multiple times you have said that you would also agree to that. And that has not come to fruition. I don't know why it would fall on to Nettie to put that together. I've asked for that multiple times. We've had that discussion. It's never made it to the agenda and it's never come back up. And then when it's discussed, it's told that we already discussed that. And then we go back to the videotape and watch them and it hasn't been discussed. It never made the agenda. So, I mean.
Okay, well, one of the primary reasons I've said that is because Ms. Owens is one of our constituents. She happens to be in my district, and she asked that this not be considered until she has an opportunity. She was ill and couldn't provide the information. So I'm going to wait until we have that before I agree to any vote. Go ahead, what was that?
Well, the reason why I said that, because I listened to Mr. Anderson say he was going to provide information, and he never did. And I asked about that report, and the information that came back was everything but the live streaming. And so I felt like I had to take it into my hands to do the research and provide that. And I do want to get information. It can be from Mr. Anderson,
Mayor,
since
I
he's
would
paid for that.
when it comes to that, my report in the November meeting, it was in the November minutes that you approved last month, and we went through these issues one by one, and that is all reflected in those minutes. So we can
you know, I don't wanna repeat all those things again. But
I would encourage all of you to look at that information.
I was just gonna bring that up. You did provide a report, and that covered all the things that we had done, and including totally revamping our website so that people had access to more information and so forth and so on. So I don't understand why it's being said that we have not done anything.
No, streaming, we don't need to talk about Facebook or the website, we're talking just about streaming and streaming only. We don't have to get bogged down in any other pieces, it's a one topic that is being asked of, what?
With your permission, thank you. Just make a simple comment. I'm a member of the church next door whose access roads you use for the police. I've been singing in the choir there, and I'm going to sing to you, but I've been singing in the choir over 40 years. During the pandemic, we set up live streaming, and it's simple. We have a wide-angle camera here. We have a couple of 7-feet cameras so we can face in different people, and it shows up on Facebook every day. If you want to see me singing in the choir, just go to Trinity UCC Dorsettville and look on the Facebook page. And it's an easy thing. One of our members donated $25,000 to set up a new sound system, which you don't need here, big monitors. And every Sunday morning, we're on Facebook.
Thank you for your comment. But
And it provided, free KDKA radio to the neighborhood. Coming out of the bell tower.
okay, are you making a motion, Ms. Hurtwick?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to have a vote on the agenda next month to offer live streaming of our public meetings, of all public meetings, that includes zoning, planning, and board meetings.
Oh, now you're broadening the scope completely.
Of public meetings?
No. Initially, we were discussing live streaming this board.
No,
No, really, this is actually a discussion for the board.
There's a motion. There's a motion.
We have a motion.
Okay. Question, is there a second?
Would you restate your motion, please?
I'd like to make a motion to have an agenda item on the February 2024 agenda item for the Board of Supervisors to vote to offer streamed public meetings, Board of Supervisors, Planning Commission, and zoning. That would also include public hearings.
I'll second that.
Okay, any further discussion?
I would just say, as we go to vote to put this on the agenda, my impression hasn't changed from what it was 18 months ago, 2 years ago,
4 years ago.
4 years ago, whatever it was the last vote. I believe that local government should be local, should be in person, gets the best communications that you can have. And so therefore, I would not be supporting this motion, going forward.
And I know for a fact that I'm sure one of our viewers right now is a person who is homebound, and I'd like to say to that person, I'm sorry. Thank you for participating in your local government any way you can at this time.
And I think that comment was a little bit out of order, but what we're doing is considering the motion and the second that's been made. Is there discussion on that particular thing?
It's just a vote, so I don't see what the big deal is.
I think we should go ahead and put it on the agenda and vote once and for all,
Yeah.
and that will settle the matter.
Yes,
Thank you, that's
I
great.
agree.
Okay, I'm tired of hearing about this every meeting, and you folks being told, or, you know, that we've already decided this on a couple of occasions. But let's just go ahead and listen to what, people want to say about it, and then vote on it once and for all, and then it'll be said and done.
And Al, I think your comment is right, Nettie, to the extent that you have information, make sure we have it if we're taking that vote. That's the chance. Send it to Dan or the supervisors writ large.
Just again, point of order, you got a motion and a second.
I know, it's still discussion. No, I'm waiting for discussion to be over.
Sorry. Jump ahead.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, all in favor of the motion made by Supervisor Hardwick, seconded by Supervisor Newman, to put live streaming on next month's agenda for a vote, or whatever other decision we may make. The reason I'm saying that is if a lot of information is provided, I like to review information before I vote. So if there's a volume of information provided, and I think I personally would like to be able to sit down and read it. I don't think we're going to read every document word for word at this meeting. So that's why I'm saying for a vote or other decision of the board. All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Motion by Supervisor Jorgensen, second by Supervisor Crowley to adjourn the meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Meeting adjourned.